she's like my mentor slash mother slash aunt. So I went to this event, and I had just got into wholesaling, and I was just asking a bunch of questions. I wanted to know everything. Finally, everyone got tired. She just stood. She said, "Listen, you need a mentor." And ever since then, I just been by her side. So I'm great. Love watching the process. I'm ready to learn more and do more and be great and great.
Thank you. And I didn't pay him. And he is like my son. I'm not gonna say anything else about that because then I'll be over doing all that. But so I met him at an event. I was working with another group, and he is so tenacious. So he's being modest. So since I met him, he has probably put on the contract about 5 properties and closed on 3, right? He's 22 years old, okay? And he won't stop. He doesn't stop. He's pushing. And what we people who are a little bit older, some of us a lot older, what we get caught in is picking everything apart and thinking we know everything. I did a program called the Landmark Forum years ago, and what Landmark teaches you is to come to every situation empty, pretty much, starting from nothing, right? And so, because when you start from nothing, everything is possible. When you start from a space that you think you know everything, pretty much, what is it in the Bible? With the ears of a little child, what is it? The eyes of a child, you should enter this. I forget exactly. I'm not a Bible person, but I forget. But there's a scripture, and it talks about entering into every situation like a child. And they don't really mean you're supposed to be a child. What it means is that you're supposed to enter into it with an open mind and an open heart. And so Rashid has done that, and he's been extreme. Everything I ask him to do, he does. I have students that have signed up the same time I started working with Rashid. They've done nothing, okay? And they're big, grown, rusty-ass people, okay? They've done absolutely nothing, okay? And if they see it, so be it, right? But Rashid has determined that, so that's the other thing. I'm just me. You understand what I'm saying? This is 100% authentic. I don't put on any airs. Anybody who's known me before today, even Bianca who just met me, can tell you this is how it is all the time. I feel like I have a lot of time left. I'll be 52 in a couple of months. I feel like I have a lot of time left, but what I don't have is time to waste, and I don't have time to pretend, and I don't have time to be bothered with people that I don't like, right? And so I let people know really quickly who I am. Because if you decide that you don't like me or I ruffle your feathers, then that's good, because then we can move on and you can find who doesn't ruffle your feathers. But if you like me, we're going to have a good time, and we're going to make a lot of money, and we're going to change a lot of lives, and we're going to get a lot of amazing things done. And so with that being said, I'm grateful that you all trusted me today to come here and participate in this. And so from here, we're going to go out to 1923 Fairmount. And that street is the first deal that Rashid and I did together, right? Which is crazy that, so I don't believe in coincidence. I just don't. I believe that everybody is absolutely drawing into themselves what their filter is allowing them to draw in. So whatever you believe that you deserve is what you receive. And if you think about that all the time, then that's what keeps coming at you. So if somebody told you that you really deserve to be kicked in your left toe every day, then everybody's going to come up to you and kick you in your left toe every day. If you believe that. So it's whatever you believe. And so Rashid and I did our first deal together on West Fairmount. I don't even remember. It was 1900 something, right? And so that's where we're going today. That's a neighborhood over by Bon Secours. Which I call it? Bon Secours. Which I call it? Bon Secours. Which is a hospital actually was just been bought by. You asked the question, how do you know whether or not it's time to do something in the area, right? How do you know? How do you know it's coming? Bon Secours was purchased by LifeBridge, right? And LifeBridge is a huge health services chain. And LifeBridge has intentions and is putting down its anchor and has tentacles all over West Baltimore to redevelop West Baltimore. So a lot of the housing in the area and Rashid and I kind of knew that when we first went over there, but now people are trying to buy properties over there in West Baltimore like crazy. You all familiar with Under Armour? Mm-hmm. So Adam Plank and his brother are trying to buy up West Baltimore, but they're trying to displace people. So the reason why I'm excited about what so many of you have said is that you care about that community element and care about that helping element, that you're trying to assist, you're trying to make it better. they're not trying to make it better. And I'm not saying anything about them. They don't come from where we come from. They don't have our experience in life. And so, you know, we have a different reality for what we want to create in the world. So I don't hate on anybody, right? But I know that I have a responsibility to be socially responsible in my real estate investment journey. So what I didn't do, let me tell you really quick. I'm 50. I'll be 52. My son said, "Stop saying that. You're not there yet." So I'll be 52. I started in real estate when I was 19 years old. I first got my real estate license in Brooklyn, New York. I drove up to Long Island every day to Century 21 class so I could become an agent. And I got the gold jacket. And I was excited about the gold jacket. I did a few deals, but I didn't, you know, I was young. I was 19, so I wasn't really serious. Came down to Maryland, got my license when I was 21 here, 22, and proceeded to do some more deals. I never really liked being an agent. I never really liked taking people around in the cars and stuff like that. Hello, I'm good. I never really liked to do that. So the agent thing didn't work for me. I didn't see how it was for me. So I got involved in, I didn't do real estate for a long time. Actually, I let my license expire, okay? Probably somewhere around 2000. Well, that was after I started real estate investing. But I came to Baltimore. I was in the Borders books, and I met this gentleman that you all will meet because I still work with him. And he was talking on the phone, and my mom and I had been up to Rose Street, 515 Road. We had been up to that block. I realized it was the same block. We had been to that block to look at the property, and the property was nice. It was laid out. They had granite countertops. They had Brazilian hardwood floors. That's where I learned about Brazilian hardwood floors in this house because they were gorgeous. And I was like, man, we could buy this, Mom. It's only like $37,000. I was like, and we're from New York. So we were like, this like free, right? $37,000 for a house that's laid out like this. It was gorgeous. It had an ensuite bathroom, and it was amazing. We left away from that property and realized after we did some homework that even though it was gorgeous, it was in the wrong place. It was flanked by 2 abandoned properties. So who was buying that? The block was squatted in, burnt out. But these people went and purchased this house and probably did what was at the time an $80,000 rehab, but had no idea what they were doing. And so fast forward, like I said, I was in Borders Books one day. This guy was in Borders Books. He was on the telephone and he was talking about real estate investing. And it was obvious to me he was on the phone with a student, right? And so I was like, oh, man, I got to talk to him. I had no money. My father was dying of cancer. He had been sick for 3 years. My mom and I were going back and forth, taking him to chemotherapy every day. I had lost my home because I had spent so much time trying to not take care of my dad that I missed my work. I lost my job. I lost my house. And this guy was there and I was listening to him and that's all I wanted to know about. So I said, hey, when you get off the phone, right? I held up a napkin in front of him. I wrote on the napkin and I held it up in front of his face. And I said, look, when you get off the phone, can you please tell me more about your real estate investing life? Because I want to learn. Oh, and by the way, you sound like you're from New York. I am too. That's what it said. So he was like, he dropped the earphone out. He was like, okay, all right. So when he got off the phone, then he stopped talking to the person and he started talking to me. He was a real estate investor. He had been an investor for the past 7 years and he was teaching people, but just minimally. And he was like, well, I really like to teach a whole bunch of people. I said, okay, that's fine. And I said, oh yeah, by the way, I don't have no money, right? So he was like, yeah, okay, I'll talk to you later. But then later on, he came over to me and he said, tell me more about yourself. I told him I was a writer because that's my passion. So I said, I'm a writer. He said, how about this? You write my brochures, you do my flyers, right? You can do my copy. If you're really good, and I'll teach you real estate investing and you won't have to pay me. I was like, yes. Fast forward a couple of weeks, I quit my job because they would let me take my dad to chemo. And I was like, well, y'all not going to control me at that level. And I quit and I called him and he came to get me and said, I tell you what, I'm going to pay you. I'm going to teach you. But as soon as you learn something, you're going to teach somebody else. And that's how you're going to really pay me, by teaching others this business. I never looked, I left there. My car was even broke down at the time, right? I left there. I never looked. He came to pick me up, took me home, took me to my mom's because that's where I was at the time. I never looked back. I went on the next few years to make more money in those next 2 years than I had made in the previous 15 years combined. Okay? Because this business works. But you have to figure out where you fit. You have to figure out what's your niche. Just because she's a wholesaler don't mean you're going to be a wholesaler. Just because he's flipping don't mean you're going to be flipping. Just because this person's a property locator don't mean that's what you're supposed to do. You have to really figure out what your skill set is and what you love about the business, and that's where you're going to fit in. And so that person became my husband. We're not married no more though. So, so don't go, oh, because that didn't work. But